For this lesson, I'm working with the Premiere Pro project file 0701 Add Transition Effects. You'll find that project file with the media associated with this lesson. Double-click on it to open it in Premiere Pro. Whenever a shot changes to another shot, it's called a transition. The most common transition is a cut, where one clip ends and the next clip begins immediately after it. You also might choose to use special effect transitions, and there are lots to choose from, including the most popular for video, the dissolve, and the crossfade for sound. And let's try this. I've got a cut here between the kids rolling a tire shot and this forest time lapse. Let's take a quick look at that cut. I'm going to click back on the timeline and play.
To the people of the corn who built.
It looks okay as a cut, but I think it'd be interesting to put a cross dissolve in. I'm going to just resize the project panel slightly so we can see the tab for the effects panel, and I'm going to browse into video transitions and dissolve, and now I'm going to drag this cross dissolve effect onto the join between these two clips. And before I release the mouse, you can see that I've got a highlight showing where the effect is going to be dropped. I can position this at the beginning of the second clip, in the middle, or at the end of the first. And you'll notice that these durations differ slightly, and that's because there's more leftover material for that kids rolling a tire shot than there is for the forest time-lapse shot. And these transition effects are applied by using the unused media. I'll release the mouse button, and there's our cross dissolve. Let's take a look.
To the people of the corn who built.
Perfect. You can adjust the timing of a transition effect by dragging the edges, just as you would trim a clip. I can make this shorter.
People of the corn.
And I can move the timing. If I have the transition effect selected, when I look in the Effect Controls panel, I get the settings for that transition, not for the clips, but for the transition itself. And you can see the controls are pretty basic. I can turn on viewing the actual sources up here in the preview. I can specify an alignment and a specific duration. I also get a preview in the right-hand side of the Effect Controls panel that I can use to modify the timing. More complex effects will have more advanced controls, but this is all we need for the cross dissolve. I'm going to make sure the transition effect is selected in the timeline panel, and I'm going to press delete to remove it. Now let's take another transition effect, maybe a wipe, and I'm going to drag this onto the join between the arch far and time-lapse C clips. And you'll notice that I can only drop the transition effect on the beginning of the time-lapse C clip, and that's because there's no leftover media at all for that clip. I'm just going to undo for a second so I can show you something. You'll notice that the top left corner of the time-lapse C clip has a tiny white triangle. You can see here between the fog time-lapse and kids rolling a tire clip, we've got a triangle on either side of the cut too. That triangle indicates that it's the last frame of the clip. There's no leftover media, and so we can't apply a transition effect that involves any kind of overlap. We could fix this by trimming the clip, so there's some unused media, but I'm not too worried for now. Let's put that radial wipe on, and maybe I'll adjust the timing to make it a little shorter. As you can see in the Effect Controls panel, now I've got the radial wipe selected, we have a few more options. If you're happy with the timing of a transition effect, you can replace the effect and keep that setting. Here, for example, I'm going to go to the iris category. I'll get the iris diamond and drop it right on top of that radial wipe. I'm selecting the effect, and you can see that iris diamond effect has inherited the duration and timing. Let's take a look.
In jungles.
It's a good idea to experiment with the many transition effects available, though most professional editors will advise caution. If the transitions begin to distract from the story, you may want to keep things simple.